Greetings, film fans. John Campy here, senior editor of AMC Movie News, and this is AMC Movie Talk for movie fans, your daily source for everything going on in the world of movie news. And I'm joined today, very thankfully, who has very graciously decided to join us. He is writer, director, creator, all-around international lover. He's Mr. John Schnepp. John, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Good to be here.
Well, listen, folks, in the last 72 hours, a ridiculous amount of high-profile trailers have come out, and we thought we would make today Trailer Day. So we're just going to talk about 5 key trailers that have come out over the past like 3 days and go into those. And we're going to start off right now by talking about what I think is probably the best of the bunch. We're going to talk about the new Man of Steel trailer. And of course, we talked about Man of Steel on AMC, the Man of Steel trailer on AMC Movie Talk the other day. But I thought it deserved going into it a little bit again. John, you had a chance to see the trailer. What were your initial thoughts of this new Man of Steel trailer?
I really intrigued and excited to see this new version of the Superman mythos. Honestly, right after it came out, I watched it. I was really happy with it, and then a bunch of my friends online started talking about, well, hey, remember, don't get too excited. Remember that first Superman Returns trailer? So I watched that, and the biggest difference between this and just as far as just trailers go is the Superman Returns relied mainly on nostalgia. Like, remember that John Williams score? Remember Marlon Brando? Remember this dude who looks just like Christopher Reeves? It was like everything was all about something from the past. And so that's why I think people got excited, because they didn't actually show anything in that trailer. It just literally, it was just like a couple of stills and some sequences that weren't even in the movie. It was all this stuff of him growing up, and that was only referred to. You never actually saw it except for snippets. So it was a very misleading trailer too. I think this not the teaser of this new Man of Steel, but the full first trailer that we just saw, you really get a slice of the scope that they're going for, and I think they're treating this character the way this character should be treated. If you're going to have a guy dressed up and with a big red cape and he's an alien, then you have to play up that whole mythology of him actually being an alien and not fitting in and trying to figure out his place on this planet. And all of a sudden, Zod shows up, spaceships, explosions. You're like, I guess he has to put on this weird outfit. I was totally in. I loved the epic. It felt like a big movie. So,
you know what? One of the things I loved about this trailer so much was that it didn't go for the boom effect. Like, look at all the explosions. I got a feeling as we get closer to the release date, future trailers may give us a little bit more of that. But I love that this trailer really focuses on the narrative, giving us that story. And, you know, I mentioned this before, but I got to say it again. My absolute favorite moment of this trailer is after young Clark Kent saves the kids in the school bus. And Pa Kent, played by Kevin Costner, says to him, you got to be careful. You have to keep this part of you a secret. And Clark goes, what was I supposed to do, let them die? And then there's a moment of reflection. And Pa Kent goes, maybe. I mean, like, that's, like, how awesome is that? That is so rich.
That's very real, and it's. I know a lot of people got pissed off. They're like, well, they probably just edited it, and there's other aspects where he's like, maybe you should do this, or maybe there's like, no, I think that's just the approach to this new version of Superman is, you know, the idea of sacrifice. I think, you know, his dad, Jor-El, sacrificed an entire planet in order to save him and send him to Earth. I mean, you got to think about it in those kinds of storytelling. I think one of the interesting things about the trailer is, just by watching it, it's, well, I don't know how they're going to tell the story of him growing up, but I wonder if it already begins with him with the beard, you know, roaming. He's, you know, at a fishery, like doing all that stuff, and he's just reflecting on his life. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting take on this whole character. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I got a feeling that 75% of this trailer probably happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie. That's my initial. But I love the fact that we see the spaceships show up. I love the fact that we see Zod. I love the fact, because, you know, that first image of Superman came out so long ago with him in front of the crippled safe door, and you're thinking, why is Superman breaking into a safe? But we see now in the trailer, he was actually thrown through a wall and crashed. I mean, I think there's so much to look forward to, not only in the movie, but in future trailers as well. And I just went crazy for it. Well, let's move on to the next trailer here. The Lone Ranger, also on the same day, put out its new trailer. And I gave some thoughts on it yesterday as well. But, John, let's start with you. Your initial reactions of this new Lone Ranger trailer.
Gotta say, the first Lone Ranger trailer that they put out, I was zero interest in seeing the movie. I was just like, wow, this is just like some stunt casting with Johnny Depp. It seemed boring, to be honest with you. This new trailer really just flipped me around and got me completely into wanting to see the Lone Ranger, which I never thought I'd say I wanted to see the Lone Ranger. Like, I was into cowboys and Indians when I was a little kid, when I was 5. Seriously. And I never played with them again. Also, the whole idea of, like, we jack the Indians. All this reality came in. I was like, yeah, I don't even like this whole idea anymore. So watching that trailer, it was really fun. I think that the humor that's in this movie is really unique to me. I've laughed out loud a few times just watching that trailer. The horse on the tree, just bizarre. Johnny Depp's whole take on Tonto, but his interaction with Armie Hammer as the Lone Ranger is what sold me on it. It's like, wow, it is a buddy film with just big stunts, like the train derailing. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. So I'm in. I don't want to see it now.
I had a very different reaction from the trailer than you did. And I was a little bit funny. It's funny because I was a little bit opposite than you. I actually was kind of intrigued by the first trailer. Especially, remember that first trailer, there's that opening narrative of, it used to be that a man was limited by how fast his horse could carry him. Now we're basically time and gods, and he's talking about all this kind of stuff. And I thought that was really compelling. And that moment where Tonto looks up at the horse and goes, "There's something really wrong with that horse," or whatever he said. That was funny. That was cute. But for me, I thought I would get over it really fast, but I'm finding the more I watch that trailer, it's bothering me more and more and more and more. Having the role model of Caucasian men playing this iconic Native American character. And when I hear him talking in that really badly done accent, it harkens me unto the day when they would get white guys to play Asian actors who would try to fake
Charlie Chan.
Yeah, these really bad racist, borderline racist kind of accents and stuff like that. And I'm watching this and I just can't get over it. You and I have talked about this before, that I have no problem with guys of different ethnicities playing characters of different ethnicities as long as the ethnicity of that character isn't a core essential element of who he is. Kingpin being white isn't a core essential element of who he is. Electro being white isn't a core essential element of who he is. Tonto being Native American, I can't think of a character other than maybe Shaft where the ethnicity of the character is actually a key important element of who he is. And I'm just watching this trailer and I am not buying into Johnny Depp. I know you seem to have an easier time with it. Why is it able to settle with you a little bit easier than it is for me? Why am I having such a problem with this?
Unfortunately for me, Johnny Depp has sort of become kind of a clownish actor, like doing all those Pirates movies, and he's Willy Wonka. I mean, so him slapping on a different clown makeup, to me, it doesn't affect me it doesn't make me indignant. It's like, oh, here's a buffoon playing a stereotypical Indian. Plus, I don't know if they even flipped it in the movie. Maybe he is a white dude who was raised by Indians and he became Tonto. That's why he's got the white face on all the time. I don't know. I'm hoping that's what they do, just because it is really stupid to do this in this day and age, to cast an Indian character with a white dude just because he's bankable. It's retarded.
All right, let's move on.
So I'm hoping it's not the case.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the next trailer here to discuss the new Tom Cruise sci-fi film Oblivion. The first trailer finally came out the day after the first trailer was released. Now, this movie holds a lot of interest, not just because it's a big sci-fi epic, not just because it's Tom Cruise, but because of recent events, because of who wrote it. Michael Arndt is one of the screenwriters of this film. And if you don't recognize his name, he's the guy who's just been announced, the Academy Award-winning writer who is writing the script for the new Star Wars movie. So a lot of us instantly became really interested in Oblivion. The new trailer comes out. John, what are your thoughts on the Oblivion trailer?
It looks really cool to me. I was really intrigued. I really had nothing. I had no knowledge about it at all, other than maybe a Comic-Con ago I got one of those pamphlets of the movie when it was called. I think it was called something different, but it was like all this artwork based on what Oblivion is now. They were just free giveaways, and I'm really intrigued. I love dystopian future films, and this was got all that plus. I mean, it just feels like it's an adult film with a lot of action and questions, like what happened. I'm totally down with checking it out. Like I'll probably see it opening weekend.
I wasn't thrilled with the trailer, but keep in mind this was the first one. And I think the first trailers for most movies aren't meant to really blow you out of your seat. They're meant to give you that first taste. And I think as a first taste, it really did its job. I think it painted the picture for us on what the film's going to be. Morgan Freeman popping up there was really kind of cool in the trailer as well.
Yeah.
Getting a glimpse of the alien in it. But, you know, some commenters wrote this to me, and I have to completely agree after watching the trailer again. And Dennis, I don't know. You saw the trailer. I don't know if you might agree with me on this. It really did feel like WALL-E. It felt a lot like WALL-E. Earth's abandoned. This lone creature is back on Earth, kind of cleaning things up and keeping things running. And all of a sudden, this mysterious female character kind of pops into the picture. It really did. I mean, clearly these are different stories, but it had a bit of a WALL-E feel to me. Dennis, I don't know if you had the same kind of a reaction to it as I did.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of WALL-E in there. I actually liked it just because I liked the designs. The director's the guy who directed Tron Legacy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I liked how kind of all the vehicles and the weapons and stuff look. I thought Morgan Freeman, not him, but the fact that he was wearing a cape kind of threw me off. I was like, why is he wearing a cape?
Because he's Morpheus's dad. That's why. It's like you're here to take either the green pill or the red pill. Is that right? And he's like, what? Tom.
Just as a side note, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I was watching. I don't watch a lot of South Park. But I watched a recent episode of South Park that was addressing the whole Star Wars being bought by Disney thing. And whenever something needs to be explained, Morgan Freeman appears, walks out, and explains in this monologue. And then finally at the end of the episode, somebody says, why do you keep popping up to explain everything? And he says in his Morgan Freeman voice, because every time I do, I get a new freckle. And boom, a new freckle appears on his face. It was really, really quite cool.
Awesome.
But once again, I think this trailer did everything. I think the action looks like it's going to be sharp. The visual effects look fantastic. It looks like it has a real kind of a really cool design to the whole world. And so mark me down as somebody who's looking forward to Oblivion. Let's move on to our next sci-fi trailer. The new Will Smith and Jaden Smith film, After Earth, being directed by the Hammer, M. Night Shyamalan, is directing this one. The first trailer has come out. We've been seeing some images come out about this one for a couple of months now. John, when you saw it, your first reaction to After Earth trailer?
To be honest with you, it's like of all the trailers that dropped this week, because there was such a plethora of incredible ones. You have Oblivion, you have The Lone Ranger, it's Man of Steel. After Earth kind of just aftertaste. It was just like kind of like nothingness. There was a bunch of monkeys and some animals running around. There's Jaden walking around having some fun in the forest with a weird stick. Will Smith kind of talking voiceover style, kind of Morgan Freeman style, like, you know, March of the Penguins, kind of voiceover documentary style. It was weird. I got the idea that maybe there's some aliens. It was actually, it's funny because it almost felt like a very similar in tone to Oblivion. Only
Right.
Oblivion's way cooler. The concept designs are very Sid Mead, like you said. It's the director of the new Tron movie. It's got a very clean look. A lot of stark, really kind of black and white spaceship style, really sleek. Versus when he finds all the people underground, they're always dirty. Just like the Matrix, they're wearing some kind of like stuff that's their hands sewn together, yet strangely stylish. You know what I mean? Like someone has a fashion sense in the middle of nothingness in the dark. You know, Morgan Freeman's got a really badass jacket. Somebody styled it. It's the future. So whatever. I think they just press a button. Combine the 80s, 90s, and 2340 to create this version. Whatever. After Earth, I don't know. I mean, no, I didn't even know M. Night
Shyamalan's?
How do you say his name?
Shyamalan?
M. Night Shyamalan I had no idea he was even involved in this movie, let alone that he's directing it. They didn't even say that in the trailer. I only read that afterwards through some responses that people started bagging on him. And I was like, oh, I realized if they did say his name in the trailer, no one would go see the movie. So
but
that makes sense.
What I don't understand is why we see this negative reaction online towards M. Night Shyamalan having directed this film, and I am, for the life of me, I cannot understand why, after the masterpiece of The Last Airbender. How can anybody...
I think people are still holding on to that bitter taste of The Happening, as well as perhaps The Village. So, or maybe even that other one about the water creatures that live in a pool in a hotel. In somebody's. Oh,
that Lady in the Water. That was awful. But here's the problem I have with this trailer.
I liked Unbreakable. A lot of people were bagging on Unbreakable on these posts, and I was like, I actually liked it. I didn't like the little still frame ending, and then in a comic book fashion, Mr. Glass was arrested, and this whole weird kind of, is that the last half of the movie that they just didn't shoot? You're like, what's happening? The weirdest ending in the.
I think you can't be taken seriously in any discussion about M. Night unless you acknowledge he has made some great films, which just kind of makes it all the more kind of disappointing when he's put out some bad ones. And I know when I looked at the concept for After Earth before seeing the trailer, I remember thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe this is the return. My biggest problem with the After Earth trailer is I didn't mind the Will Smith narration, actually. That one shot, though, that is just a huge icebreaker shot when he's sitting there with his son and saying, breathe in, breathe out, and then that explosion, he's sucked down. That is a masterful visual. That was awe-inspiring. My problem with the trailer, though, is it feels a bit like a bait-and-switch movie. It feels like the movie is promising a Will Smith sci-fi actioneer, but really, this is a Jaden Smith film.
I don't think it's bait. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say I don't think it's bait and switch. Even in the trailer, it clearly shows like Will Smith sitting in a spaceship, and then he's narrating. So the whole thing for me was like, it felt like Enemy Mine. Do you remember that movie with Dennis?
Yes, with Dennis Quaid and the captain from
Louis Gossett Jr.
Louis Gossett Jr. Yes, from Officer and
It felt like Enemy Mine. I swear to God, I was getting flashbacks even in the trailer. Like, oh, they're out in the space battle, and they crash land, and then. One guy's stuck on the spaceship, the other guy's out kind of rooting around and like fighting with animals.
Only I don't think Will Smith's going to be pregnant. Only people who saw Enemy Mine will know what we're talking about.
I think Will Smith is going to be pregnant with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's going to be the triplets. Eddie Murphy is going to give birth to triplets in the After Earth. It's going to be an incredible. It's a bait and switch right there. It's a comedy.
It's a big sci-fi comedy.
Yeah, 3-headed baby in the first 5 minutes. All that stuff you saw with the animals running around and Jaden with that weird wooden stick. That's all the first 5 minutes of the entire movie. Then it's Will Smith pregnant, gives birth to Eddie Murphy, Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger, a 3-headed strange baby with a worm body, and it's just that. Then it's just comedy.
I hope the major studios are watching this because they need to take notes. But overall, and hey, look, I like Karate Kid. I actually, you know what? I think I like Karate Kid a lot more than most people did. I actually thought Karate Kid was really good with Jaden Smith, and I thought he did a great job in it. It's just that
I didn't see it. I didn't see the remake. There's only one Karate Kid for me. I'm kind of like one of those guys that it's like, if there's no reason really for a remake except for somebody wants to just I can't think of a new story, so let's just rehash this title and kind of slap it together.
It was quite good.
They could have called it something different.
It was quite good, actually.
But, was it good?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, I walked out going, "Wow, that was kind of fun." But that being said, I mean, I can buy into Jaden Smith. I just hearing about the film before the trailer, I was given the idea that this was a Will Smith film with his son Jaden Smith, and now watching the trailer, I feel like this is a Jaden Smith film made possible because Will Smith agreed to appear in it. That's what I feel like. But anyway, let's move on. A little sprinkling
of Will Smith. Yeah, it's all Jaden.
Let's move on to the last trailer we're going to be talking about today. 8 months ago, I had the chance to go and sit down and interview the cast of G.I. Joe Retaliation, thinking the movie was about to come out. Of course, then G.I. Joe Retaliation got delayed. Somebody realized, hey, wait a minute, Channing Tatum is a lot more popular than we thought. We better reshoot this thing with a lot more Channing Tatum. And they went back to the drawing board and put out today a new trailer for the film that comes out in early 2013. And, you know, let me start with this one, John. I was telling Dennis a little bit earlier, is that trailers are a funny thing. They're much like a souffle, I said. You know, you take a great souffle, but put half a teaspoon of one ingredient too much or too little in it, and suddenly it becomes a terrible souffle. And trailers are like that a lot. They can be a really good trailer, and then they just edit like 10 seconds of it, and suddenly it's a bad trailer, and vice versa. I didn't even like at all the initial G.I. Joe Retaliation trailers that came out like last year. I didn't like them much at all. I thought it was quite boring. This new trailer shares 95% of the same DNA. It's almost identical, except for in a few small ways here, there, and here and there. But I really like this trailer for some reason. Obviously, we see a lot more Channing Tatum in it. The Channing Tatum isn't in the whole thing, but he significantly has a stronger presence in this trailer than he did in the original trailers, because clearly he's going to be in more of the movie than he was before. Suddenly, the action looked good to me. Suddenly, Bruce Willis didn't seem completely out of place to me like he did in the first trailer, which was completely identical in many ways. For some reason that I almost cannot explain, I really enjoyed. I didn't love, but I really quite enjoyed this G.I. Joe Retaliation trailer. What did you think?
I felt it was very similar to the very last one, but I do agree with you. The reason I think you might enjoy it more was because they just subtly shifted instead of beginning, because both of the earlier trailers began with Channing Tatum and The Rock are outside hanging around out in the desert, a sneak explosion, everybody's dead, and it's just these four people. And that's literally like almost the first 30 seconds of both of those original trailers. Yeah. So you're already leading out with the brand new G.I. Joe Retaliation as a bummer, like everybody's dead. Yeah. So with this one, they go right to the threat. Oh, the president isn't the president. They show England getting blown up, which is horrifying.
And looked awesome. Great visual effect there. Awesome.
It's great visual effects. I was bumming out. I was like, I don't want that to happen in England. And there it is. Let's stop Cobra or whatever. It's like you're instantly on G.I. Joe's side. So I thought rearranging some of those elements, and I don't even know if they changed a lot of it. I mean, because those sequences with Channing Tatum that they show later in the trailer could also be from the very beginning. You don't know.
No, it's true.
He could still be dead.
But you know what it does for me? Here's what having Tatum in there does for me, is that one of the negative things to me about the first G.I. Joe trailers that came out a year ago was the fact that it gave me haunting memories of the Transformers animated movie 25, 30 years ago. Because as a kid, I loved it, sure, but as a kid, what did that movie do?
Kill everyone.
I invested 4 years of my young life into these characters, and then in 5 minutes, they kill them all and say, hey, kids, time for you to go out and buy all new toys. And at the beginning of the trailer, when we just see all the G.I. Joes are dead now, the only ones left are ones we've never seen before, and Heidi-ho. And I think just the fact that they sprinkled in Channing Tatum changed the feel of the trailer to me of the G.I. Joes took a serious hit. They were betrayed. And it didn't feel like we're just wiping everybody out, here are your new Joes. And it changed that whole feel for me in that way. Dennis, how did you feel about it when you first saw this trailer?
Well, I mean, I'm one of the few people that actually liked the first movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. So
Dennis, I'm on your side with that one. I liked the first one too. I wasn't a giant G.I. Joe fan as a kid, so that might be why that it wasn't so precious to me. That I enjoyed a lot of it. I liked the weird suits with them running around. A lot of things that everybody else hated, I enjoyed. So
yeah, so did I. I thought it was fun versus like something like Transformers. I think Transformers 2 came out at that same time, and I didn't like that at all. It took itself too seriously. So I liked the initial trailer, the one before, and this one's even better. So I'm. It's not like it's one of those movies I'm like really looking forward to, but when it rolls around, I'll be like, yeah, time to watch some G.I. Joe.
Yes, and so, you know what? Before this trailer, I was just like, hey, look at the time. Pretty soon we're going to watch G.I. Joe. Now I'm like, hey, pretty soon we get to watch G.I. Joe. And it's
Right.
weird what one trailer, and not even a trailer, what about 10 different seconds of footage in a trailer can do
That's
to
right.
change your perception of things.
Strangely rearranged for your enjoyment.
Yeah.
So
Well, listen, folks, that will do it for us on this installment of AMC Movie Talk Daily. Thanks so much for joining us. And hey, listen, before we do anything else, stop what you're doing. Click the subscribe button. Become one of the subscribers of our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's totally free, and it'll keep you up to date on all the movie news, editorials, and, of course, the daily AMC Movie Talk show to keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter by going to twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. Almost 4 million people already have. And listen, folks, don't forget to come back again tomorrow for the next installment of AMC Movie Talk. I want to thank writer, director, and all-around great guy. Hey, and by the way, John Schnepp, you've got a new movie coming out called The ABCs of Death that you're one of the directors on. When does that come out?
That comes out in theaters on March 8th. And it's 26 different directors from all around the world. There are some freakishly gory sections. There are some comedy segments. It's basically watching 26 short movies all strung together. It's a miasma of horror. So, I mean, it's not for everybody, but for the people who enjoy that kind of stuff, you're really going to dig it. So.
And Dennis, you're directing the next Avengers film?
Oh yeah, yeah. They are like, oh, we originally wanted you for the first one, but you weren't available.
So we got that guy Whedon.
Yeah, with that Whedon guy. We had to get that Whedon guy.
We had to slum it for one film by getting that Whedon guy.
And then now I am available for the second one.
Fantastic.
Hey, does it bother you when people say Josh Whedon? It bothers me. It's Joss.
Yes.
2 S's. Joss. I get irritated. I've heard it a lot. Josh Whedon is directing. It's like, no, it's Joss Whedon. Stop saying it wrong.
And listen, folks, and most of all, we want to thank you for joining us once again. Join us again for tomorrow. My name is John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.